welcome to another episode of On the Spot Painting. Yeah, no, I was just working on this one tonight and earlier today, and I just thought I'm getting into this one painting pretty good. I really enjoying this this painting and the paper. So I just want to just keep going with it. So hope you guys don't mind. I did do work on a little bit here, just a little bit more on the armor and the face here, but yeah. So I'm enjoying the paper quite a bit actually. It is slightly different, like I mentioned before, but in a good way. So yeah, just bringing the colors right here, so it kind of pops out the other. A lot of times you want to take the darker to bring out the other colors, the lighter colors in there. So yeah, this paper is actually really pretty good with this. Really happy with this. And previously in my videos before, I made the visor kind of yellow, so I have done some paintings if you look at my Age of Robotica, and you notice that I've done some with the red, but the problem I'm running into right now a little bit is that the red is here and then it's there, so I was concerned about being too much yellow here, so that's why I went for that. So let's see how it goes. This actually might go with more of a orange. Let's see. So I still might do a little bit of a yellow visor. Just I didn't really think that through exactly, so. Yeah, so it's a little combination of both red and yellow. Like I mentioned before, these robots exactly probably don't need to have these, a face that looks like ours, human is kind of a human-like face, or even something that would be resembling, a face. It could just not be a face at all. So, because they're, they don't basically. But for the sake of design and sake of looking interesting and art, so we have a sort of a little bit different. The hot press is a little bit different when blending the colors like this here. So. Like I said, I'm still kind of learning this paper. If you're just getting with me on my video, let's say if you didn't watch the last video, I'm starting. I usually do watercolor, and I usually use cold press paper. Anyway, I'm trying something new here. This is a hot press, and I didn't study up on the differences and maybe read up on people's reviews of hot press paper, but I'm just kind of finding out for myself what are the differences. Yeah, it's a little bit interesting. It seems to maybe not take to too much water, to be honest. That's probably finding that a little bit to be true. Where cold press seems to handle the water a little easier. So it's interesting to see how it works out. But, I'm very happy with the way metal is working on my part, this part here. So. The background is a little bit different. Probably not as happy with that as I would be on the cold press paper, but you know, sometimes you just got to work out those little things that you'd find to be difficult, challenging. You know, I mean, this doesn't blend as much as there. Right here, it's having issue with the texture of the paper. Paper's kind of, if you overwork it a little bit too wet right here, it's going to possibly damage the paper, so I have to be very careful. And for some reason, I don't know. I'm not 100% expert on paper. I'm just an expert because I work with it a lot. I just noticed that sometimes in the paper quality, certain spots of the paper will actually react differently to paint or too much water. So seems like that's what's happening right there. So, and kind of best to just kind of leave that part alone too much, you know, not to go over that area. Say you're having some difficulty with a particular paper that you're working with, and it's kind of reacting this way. If you see that, I would honestly say my best suggestion to you would be to don't keep working it, don't keep overworking it, you know, because believe me, I have done that, and just thinking that I'd make it better, and really does not make it better. So okay. See, when you add a darker color, especially to this lighter right there, it really makes the white pop out, and then it just kind of makes this whole thing stand out a little bit. Like I mentioned before, you know, usually when I'm doing this painting, I'm not really talking to anybody. I'm not really explaining anything to anybody. I'm just doing it. You know, I'm not really, there's not, you know, somebody here saying, this is what I'm doing. You know, I'm just doing it. I'm not really thinking about it or putting a lot of, letting you know, anybody know what I'm doing here, so. See, as an artist, you kind of go through different emotions while you're painting. You're either love or hate it, kind of a love and hate relationship with your artwork. Some parts that you find, I really like that. That's awesome. But then there's other parts where you're going, what the heck happened? You know, you're just trying to figure out what did you do? And I don't know, you know. But it's always those kind of, I don't know what you say. I guess those sort of battles in your mind. You know, you're kind of dealing with doubts or, you know, just, oh, can I do this, or is this right? And you know, you just got to be confident in what you're doing, and you've done this before in the past or something like that. You know, you have to have confidence in yourself. So. and stretch your limits, but you know your limits, I should say. But it's kind of good to just branch out and try new things, and you never know. You never know. Might take you into new places, new strengths in your artwork you never knew you had before. Okay. A lot of this is just, I mean, it doesn't just happen by itself. And a lot of times you might have seen some time-lapse video. I mean, that's really even sped up, and things happen quite quickly on time-lapse. But here, you're watching it, this is, it takes time. It takes time. It takes, draw all those little lines, those shapes, or whatever you're drawing. And just to remind you, I mean, if you're just starting your artwork, starting an artist, you're just being an artist, you're just starting watercolor, try not to be too hard on yourself, please. You're not gonna, honestly, you're not gonna do something like this overnight. I mean, not that this is like the greatest thing in the world or anything. It's just saying that you see something and you're like, wow, it's cool. How's the guy doing it? And eventually you'll get there. You'll get there, and you may not get there the same way that I got there, but it's going to take time. It takes practice. It takes effort. You got to go through a lot of frustrations. You got to go through a lot of wondering. Maybe go through a lot of paintings that don't turn out, but eventually they will. And be very patient with your artwork. Be patient with you, yourself, It's not going to happen overnight. And I've kind of done something like this on a previous painting, I believe. I'm still working on that one, but it's a red robot I did, where I had the shape of the metal going in and out, and that's basically what I'm trying to do here too. It's I guess what I'm trying to show is that this will be more on the outside, and then this is more going on the inside deeper, and that's henceforth the shadows. There's sort of a shape there, a little texture, a little bit of you're adding that kind of 3D element that wasn't there originally, when you draw on this painting. So like I said, sketches are not really, you don't have to follow the sketches. Depends on how you work. I mean, if you're an artist that you go particularly by your sketch, that's what's gonna make sure that everything is in the sketch. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that either too. But I use the sketches as a guide to kind of show me where I'm going to go, what direction I'm going to do this painting. But ultimately I make a decision when I paint what direction I want it to go. So it's forming. It's coming along. Again, it's a little bit different than the actual cold press paper, but Sorry, I'm going through times I'm just not talking. I apologize for that. Kind of just painting, and you can just watch me paint a little bit. So. There we go. It's starting to come form. I love doing texture. I love details. I love the actually I love to just hurry up and do the texture part. I guess that's, but you have to do the other details. You have to do the other little, sketching. You have to add the colors. You have to add the paints. You just don't go right to texture. I mean, that's comes a little later. And I don't know about you. If you're an artist, you have your favorite elements in what you do. So me, it's textures. I love textures. I love details. I love making something look, like metal. I like making something look like wood. I like making something look like stone, or whatever it is. You have that textures. I love that. Because in life, in the world we live in, there's textures everywhere. There's textures in the ground. You look at the ground, there's textures in everything. There's textures. There's little details. So there's no way you can avoid textures. I mean, you could draw something without textures, you can paint something without textures, but it's going to look like it doesn't have any texture. But when you add the textures, that's just what makes it really pop and really awesome. Now, of course, if you don't want to do all the textures and that's what you're trying to go for in your painting, then that's okay. I mean, it's not like necessary, but if you definitely love to do textures, love to do this kind of stuff, then I think you'll really like watercolor. Not that you can't do it with any other medium. I mean, yes, you can. So it's just how to go about that on other mediums. I don't know. I mean, I have done a little bit, so I probably could tell you how to do it, but I wouldn't be as efficient as I am with watercolors. So what I'm trying to do is build up the 3D element here, where it's not looking flat, where he's got a little shape to his, to his shoulder, little roll of the metal, how it's bending sort of this way, almost like an armor would have a knight. Ironically though, in my paintings, I have not drawn knights, knight in shining armor. So this is really the closest I've come. So it's not that I couldn't probably do it, it's just that I haven't really studied how they look, I would probably have to look at, pictures and photographs or paintings, images of an armor, like the knights had back then, and then come up with my own version. But that is something I have not really done. So. But I would like to one day. Or if I'm making a fictional story or something like that, doing with a knight, that would be fun too. Or a dragon, princess and stuff. Well, I'm about ready to call it a night on this one. Call it, I'm done, finished it with this painting. So again, just to see how it's all forming, how it kind of comes together. You may see this picture again. I might move further on. I mean, that might work out a little better because there's just so much little details, so much little things that you can add on to this painting that would take time. So, because honestly, people do a painting or something like that. They just don't do it in a matter of minutes. They do it in a matter of hours sometimes. So it takes time. It's believe me, it's a process. So anyway, well, thank you for joining me on the spot painting, and I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good night.